There is one trait more terrifying than cruelty, more dangerous than genius, and more powerful than wealth. Fearlessness. Not the kind flaunted by reckless fools or loudmouthed warriors, but the cold, silent kind. The kind possessed by those who have burned every bridge, killed every hesitation, and buried their conscience in the name of power. This is the fearlessness Machiavelli admired. The kind that makes kings sleep with one eye open. The kind that turns servants into shadow rulers. It's not about bravery. It's about numbness. You no longer fear failure, betrayal, loss, or death. You become untouchable, not because you're protected, but because there's nothing left to take from you. Most people are ruled by fear. Fear of being disliked, replaced, exposed. But the truly powerful? They feel nothing. They don't hesitate. They calculate. They strike. And when fear dies, something darker takes its place. Absolute control. In this video, we expose why fearlessness is the deadliest weapon in the Machiavellian arsenal, and how those who master it don't just win, they dominate. Most people don't live. They survive. One fearful decision at a time. Fear is the invisible chain that controls the masses. It's why men follow weak leaders, why soldiers hesitate in battle, why you stay quiet when you should speak, obey when you should rebel, and crawl when you should strike. Fear is not a feeling. It's a system, a hierarchy, and if you don't master it, you will live and die as a pawn. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He didn't romanticize fear. He studied it, dissected it. He knew that fear is the lever by which rulers control subjects and by which weak minds surrender their power. Look at the modern world. It runs on fear. Fear of being canceled, fear of being poor, fear of rejection, fear of standing alone. You don't make decisions. Your fear does. You don't chase your goals. You negotiate with your insecurity. Every move you make is an escape from discomfort. And here lies the secret. The first step to becoming powerful is not gaining confidence. It is killing fear, murder it, erase it, burn it out of your system. Because as long as fear lives, power cannot. You cannot be feared until you feel nothing. You don't conquer fear by avoiding it. You conquer it by strangling it until it stops breathing. Most people want to overcome fear gently through meditation, breathing exercises, or positive affirmations. That's weakness disguised as wisdom. Machiavelli would laugh at such softness. He didn't believe in taming fear. He believed in turning fear into a weapon or eliminating it completely. So how do you kill fear? Not with courage, but with calculation. Fear thrives in uncertainty. It grows in the unknown, in emotion, in chaos. So the first step in the Machiavellian transformation is to turn fear into data, into something that can be dissected, studied, and used. Every time you feel fear, ask yourself, what exactly am I afraid of? Loss of money? Reputation? Comfort? Status? Break it down. Strip it of its illusion. You'll notice that fear is rarely about reality. It's about ego. You're not afraid of losing. You're afraid of looking like a loser. You're not afraid of rejection. You're afraid your self-image will crack. You're not afraid of danger. You're afraid of how you'll be seen after you fail to avoid it. That's not fear. That's vanity. And vanity is easy to kill once you stop giving a damn about what people think. Machiavelli knew this. A man ruled by the opinion of others is already conquered. He doesn't need an enemy. His desire to be liked will enslave him. So what's the transformation? Step 1. Crush your addiction to approval. Stop apologizing for your ambition. Stop softening your voice to be accepted. Stop asking for permission to be dangerous. When you stop fearing disapproval, you unlock the most terrifying power of all: freedom. Freedom to act without hesitation. Freedom to speak without filters. Freedom to execute without guilt. Now let's go deeper. Step 2. Expose yourself to controlled confrontation. Fear survives in comfort. So if you want to kill it, you must hunt discomfort deliberately. Start small. Speak when you're afraid to. Disagree when you're expected to conform. Take actions that challenge your identity. You must build a habit of attacking what frightens you before it attacks you. Machiavelli understood this. Small rebellions harden the spirit. Small risks prepare you for larger conquests. If you cannot stand the heat of a meeting, how will you survive the fire of politics and betrayal? Fear dies when you bleed in training. So train violently. Now, the third step is brutal, but essential. Step 3. Detach from outcome. Fear survives because you're too attached to a result. You want success, love, respect, control, and the thought of losing it paralyzes you. This is your weakness. This is what makes you predictable. But when you detach, when you no longer fear loss, you become a paradox. The man who could lose everything and remain unchanged. That's what terrifies people. That's what creates influence. If you cannot be rattled, you cannot be manipulated. If you cannot be baited, you cannot be trapped. If you cannot be threatened, you are untouchable. That is power. And here's the final step of transformation. The Machiavellian finish. Step 4. Weaponize your lack of fear. Once you've killed fear inside yourself, you begin using it against others. You become unpredictable. You act with speed, without hesitation, without mercy. People begin to fear your silence, your movements, your presence, because they realize you don't care about their rules. You don't respond to their emotions. You don't flinch when challenged. You only move when it's strategic. Machiavelli didn't admire cruelty for cruelty's sake. He admired control, and fearlessness is the foundation of absolute control. Imagine walking into any room and knowing that no one there can shake you. Imagine making a decision with zero doubt because you've already rehearsed failure and decided it doesn't matter. Imagine confronting your greatest enemy and feeling nothing. That is the man Machiavelli writes for. Not the good man, not the cautious man. The man who feels nothing when it's time to act. The man who doesn't flinch, because fear is dead. And once it's dead, you become something far more terrifying than brave. You become inevitable. Once fear dies, something else must take its place. And for the truly powerful, that replacement is ruthlessness. Because without fear, you no longer hesitate. Without hesitation, you act. And when you act without hesitation, mercy becomes a weakness you can't afford. Machiavelli said it clearly. It is much safer to be feared than loved. But he didn't stop there. He showed us why mercy, when used at the wrong time, is suicidal. Mercy is only praised by those too weak to be dangerous. The masses beg for kindness, not because they deserve it, but because they hope it will protect them from justice, from consequences, from the blade they know they earned. But the ruler, the strategist, the player of power, he does not give mercy because it feels good. He gives it only when it serves a purpose. And when it doesn't, he removes the problem entirely. You see, once you've killed fear within yourself, you'll be tempted to return to old habits, to give second chances, to delay punishment, to explain yourself to people who don't matter. That's residue from your old, fearful self. Burn it. The fearless man must learn the next law of power. Never hesitate to destroy. When someone threatens your position, tarnishes your name, leaks your plans, or disrespects your authority, you respond not with emotion, but with elimination. Quiet, total, final. This is not cruelty. This is strategy. Because power is not sustained by being liked. It is sustained by being untouchable. And untouchable men don't play defense. They remove liabilities before they become threats. Let's break it down Machiavelli style. 1. Mercy makes you look uncertain. When you spare someone who deserved punishment, it signals to everyone else that you lack resolve, that you can be swayed, that you feel guilt. Once people sense guilt in a powerful man, they will press it like a bruise. 2. Mercy invites betrayal. The people you spare will not thank you. They will see your forgiveness as a sign of softness, and they will wait for the next opportunity to strike. Machiavelli warned, "Those who benefit from your mercy often become the ones who resent your power the most." 3. Mercy delays the inevitable. The problem you refuse to deal with now will return stronger. It will cost more to eliminate later. Weakness compounds. Delay multiplies destruction. You must understand this. The fearful man shows mercy to feel safe. The fearless man shows no mercy because he is already safe. Let the others cry for justice. Let them call you cruel. Let them paint you as a villain. So be it, because they don't understand the game. They don't realize that power isn't preserved through fairness. It's preserved through control. And control requires ruthlessness, not constant violence, not chaos, but strategic brutality, cold and surgical. You don't punish out of anger. You punish out of necessity. You cut off fingers to save the hand. You remove a traitor before they infect your inner circle. Machiavelli admired Cesare Borgia because he understood this perfectly. When Borgia needed to restore order, he unleashed Ramiro de Orco, a brutal enforcer, to instill fear and obedience. And once the job was done, Borgia had him publicly executed, to win the love of the people and show he would tolerate no one who became too powerful. That's ruthless brilliance, and that's your path. Fearlessness is not about taking unnecessary risks. It's about being willing to do what cowards won't. It's about enforcing your rule with precision, not emotion. It's about eliminating risk, not reacting to it. When people learn you are capable of final decisions, they stop testing you. They stop pushing boundaries. They start respecting the silence behind your smile. Because they know, when the moment comes, you won't flinch. You won't forgive. You will finish. That is what separates the powerful from the powerless. Not how many chances they give, but how few. To fear nothing means one thing above all. You will walk alone. Not because you're hated, not because you're misunderstood, but because the fearless man does not need others. And that, to the average person, is terrifying. They'll call you cold, arrogant, emotionless. They'll say you've changed, that you've become distant, uncaring. But what they're really saying is this: you stopped depending on us. Now we don't know how to control you. Fearlessness comes at a cost, and this is it: isolation. When you no longer seek approval, you stop blending in. When you no longer crave security, you become a threat to those who live for it. And when you no longer fear being alone, you become untouchable. Machiavelli knew this cost well. He was exiled, slandered, and abandoned by the very powers he once advised. But he didn't break. Why? Because solitude to a fearless man is not a punishment. It's a sharpening stone. The weak seek crowds. The strong build silence. And the truly powerful, they disappear to build empires unseen. Understand this. Fear binds people together. It's why they gossip. It's why they form weak alliances. They are united by mutual insecurity, each one terrified of being excluded replaced, or forgotten. But when you kill fear, you no longer need the tribe. You no longer need company to feel strong. You no longer fear being left behind, because you already chose a path that leaves others behind. That is the beginning of true dominance. It's not about being loud. It's about being untethered. It's about detaching from the psychological chains that bind everyone else. The fear of abandonment. The fear of being misunderstood. The fear of being alone with your own thoughts. You must face it now. Complete detachment is not comfortable, but comfort is for cattle. Power requires edge. Ask yourself, why do so many strong men fall? Because they surround themselves with comfort, with yes men, with dependents who slowly rot their judgment. Machiavelli warned against this. He said a ruler must always keep his circle small, his trust limited, and his mind his own. The moment you rely on others for strength, you hand them the knife. The fearless man doesn't beg for loyalty. He doesn't beg for company. He doesn't chase love, validation, or support. He commands respect through silence, through results, through distance. And that distance is what people fear most. People will try to guilt you. They'll say you're disconnected, that you've lost touch, that you're too serious. Good. Let them say it. Because they don't understand that you are no longer playing by their rules. You're not in this world to be liked. You're here to be remembered. And those who are remembered are rarely surrounded by applause while they rise. You rise in silence. You conquer alone. Think of every historical titan. Napoleon, feared and alone. Julius Caesar, betrayed by friends. Machiavelli himself, writing alone in exile, crafting blueprints of power while the world mocked him. That solitude, that exile, it forged clarity, ruthlessness, mastery. If you want real power, you must choose this path. Not once, every day. You will eat alone. You will make decisions that isolate you. You will break alliances when they no longer serve your purpose. You will walk out of rooms full of cowards. You will cut ties without apology. Because fearlessness demands focus, and focus demands distance. Only then will you see clearly. Only then will you act without delay. Only then will you be able to do what the fearful can't. Lead without needing anyone. So when the loneliness comes, when the silence gets heavy, don't retreat. Don't run back to comfort. Welcome it. Because that silence is the echo of your evolution. It means fear is gone, and power is taking its place. The price of fearlessness is solitude, but the reward is absolute freedom. You've killed your fear. You've accepted isolation. You no longer flinch, apologize, or hesitate. Now you enter the final phase. You become the fear. Because the moment you feel nothing, you begin to sense what others still feel and use it against them. This is where power multiplies. This is where Machiavelli smiles from the shadows. Understand this. Fear is the most effective weapon ever invented. You don't need swords when you have silence. You don't need to attack when others paralyze themselves in your presence. Fear does your work for you, if you learn how to craft it. Machiavelli didn't just study fear. He taught leaders how to engineer it. He knew people respond more to potential pain than to actual violence. They fear unpredictability. They fear mystery. They fear what they cannot calculate. And that is your new role. You are no longer just a man. You are a mirror in which others see their own weakness. So how do you wield fear like a weapon? Step 1. Become unreadable. Predictable men are manageable. You must become unreadable, silent, calculating, smile less, speak less, reveal nothing. Let them wonder what you're thinking. Let them fill in the blanks with their own paranoia. And make sure what little you reveal carries weight, controlled, deliberate weight. The moment people can't predict your next move, they stop feeling safe around you. And when they feel unsafe, they obey. Step 2. Broadcast power, never emotion. Weak men express emotion first. Strong men broadcast consequence. When you enter a room, people should sense tension, not comfort. Not because you're loud, but because you carry yourself like a man who does not play games. Make your presence a warning, not through theatrics, but through sheer control. The way you walk, sit, look, everything must signal, I see everything, I miss nothing, and I feel nothing. That's how tyrants rule without speaking. That's how kings win battles before they begin. Step 3. Use fear to control outcomes. Once you understand what others fear, use it. The fear of exclusion, the fear of embarrassment, the fear of being replaced, exposed, demoted. Mention things indirectly. Let them feel the heat without seeing the fire. Let them fear what might happen if they cross you. Because in that ambiguity, you gain power. People don't follow strength. They follow what they fear losing. So don't threaten directly. Imply. Let your silence carry the question. What happens if I decide you're a problem? They will answer it for you, in their behavior. Step 4. Make an example. Eventually, someone will test you. Someone always does. When that moment comes, do not warn. Do not explain. Destroy. Publicly. Make it fast. Make it final. Make it known. Let the others watch. Let them feel their own pulse quicken. Let them realize he doesn't bluff. That's how you turn fear from a feeling into a system. You create a hierarchy. People fall in line, not because you asked, but because they know what happens if they don't. This is not about cruelty. It's about control. Machiavelli warned, "A prince who is not feared will sooner or later be overthrown." Fear is the shield behind the throne. It's the silence that surrounds the powerful. It's the pressure that keeps blades sheathed. So here's your reality now. You have no fear, but they do. And that fear, that's your currency, your weapon, your armor. The truly powerful don't fear pain. They manufacture it for others. They don't flinch. They make others flinch first. And that's the final evolution. Not just to fear nothing, but to become the thing they all fear. Fear is the foundation of every weak life, every silent failure, every missed opportunity. It controls men more than laws, more than kings, more than God. But once you destroy it, you don't just become stronger. You become unrecognizable. You stop reacting like prey. You stop asking for permission. You no longer waste time on approval, safety, or social acceptance. Instead, you move with precision, quiet, calculated, relentless. You don't announce your power. You let the silence around you speak. You cut off hesitation. You stop negotiating with your conscience. You stop explaining yourself to people who are already beneath you. You look the world in the eye and say, I don't fear you. I don't need you. And I'm not waiting. When fear dies, ruthlessness is born. Not chaos, not anger, but calm, surgical power. You don't give mercy when it's undeserved. You remove threats before they take root. You don't flinch when betrayal strikes. You expected it. You don't fear isolation. You require it. While others chase applause, you build in silence. While they look for allies, you become a one-man system. You train yourself to act while they hesitate. You learn to sit alone while they panic in crowds. You detach from outcomes, from comfort, from the need to be seen. And in that silence, your power multiplies. You begin to see how fear governs everyone else, how it makes them predictable, emotional, weak. And then comes your final transformation. You use their fear against them. You become unreadable, unpredictable, untouchable. You never explain, never overplay your hand. You let your stillness become a question they can't answer. You let your presence apply pressure without a word. You don't threaten. You imply. You don't fight often. But when you do, you finish it quickly. You make examples. You speak with action. You dominate without volume. You become the man they warn others about. The man who doesn't blink, doesn't stall, doesn't crack. People obey not because they like you, but because they don't know what happens if they cross you. You don't fear consequences. You are the consequence. This is what Machiavelli understood, that fear, when mastered, becomes the deadliest weapon of all. Not because you use it on yourself, but because you surgically inject it into others. That is the path, and that is your choice. You can stay average, led by emotion, seeking safety, addicted to being liked. Or you can burn all that, kill your fear, and build something terrifying in its place. Something powerful. Something permanent. If this message hit you where it matters, if it stirred something ruthless and cold inside you, don't scroll away. Subscribe. This isn't motivation. This isn't therapy. This is the cold blueprint for total control, for those who refuse to live as pawns. Welcome to the darker side of strength. Welcome to the silence behind true dominance. Welcome to Machiavelli,